I'ma tell you all with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment of my entire life. Well, I didn't do it quite as good as the Nature Boy. I'm not covered in blood and sweat, and I didn't just win a huge Royal Rumble with one of the most star-studded rosters ever. That was Ric Flair's quote after winning the 1992 Royal Rumble. Hello, everyone. I'm Brett Mix, and welcome to another Royal Rumble review. Here we are, 1992. Those Rumbles along the internet, the IWC, the YWC, everywhere you go, everyone talks about the 1992 Rumble. Even WWE.com has the free match on YouTube, so you can go watch it after this or whenever you want, really, on the WWE network. But that's just if you didn't have the network. It's just a jam-packed Rumble, and the reason it's so looked at so fondly is because it's one of the first Rumbles where the whole thing was booked from top to bottom with effort, and it came off looking without effort, if that makes any sense. It had great pacing in between draw intervals, good feud. We always see feud highlights leading into WrestleMania of that year in the Rumbles. We always have those spots, but I felt that it really worked well in 1992 because like I say, the intervals were up and down, low card, high card, low card, high card, and it just worked out very well in the ring. There was a lot of double teaming. There was a lot of every man for themselves, and of course, there was a lot of every man for themselves spots in that Rumble match. We talk about the last two Rumbles, 90 and 91, where there was all these guys in the ring at the same time. They seem to do that a lot, and a great Rumble has to have that. So, 1992, let's take a look at it. First of all, it was the fifth annual Royal Rumble event. Secondly, there's something really interesting here, at least to me, because I'm into the broadcasting and journalism's point of view. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan did the commentary for the first time ever at this Royal Rumble event for this show. Why is that relevant? Because this is the fifth Royal Rumble, and not two people have ever called the same Royal Rumble pay-per-view. In 1988, Vince McMahon did it with Jesse Ventura. In 1989, Jesse Ventura did it with Gorilla Monsoon. In 1990, Jesse Ventura did it with Tony Schiavone. In 1991, Gorilla Monsoon did it with Roddy Piper. And now, in 1992, Gorilla Monsoon is doing it with Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I believe these two break that yearly chain next year in 1993, where I believe they do break it. So the first 2 years in a row are 92, 93, where the commentators are the same. And then in 94, it's even different because it's McMahon and Ted DiBiase there. And then it's McMahon and Jerry Lawler in 95. So they switch all the time. Only 92, in the first 8 Royal Rumbles, only 92 and 93 have the same commentary team. And that's Gorilla and the Body. So, or Gorilla and Bobby the Brain Heenan, not the Body of Ventura. I'm talking about Bobby Heenan. So, interesting to note. This was the first time the WWF title was on the line in the Royal Rumble. The championship, as we know, was vacated in December of 91 after the Tuesday in Texas incident with Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker. And for this, the Hulk Hogan was given preferential treatment for the Royal Rumble as they both got to choose from number 20 to 30 only. Hogan and Taker both for this Rumble. Ric Flair broke the record for the longest lasting participant in a Rumble. It lasted 59 minutes and 26 seconds. He broke the previous record held the year before by Rick Martel in 1991, and he had broken DiBiase's record from 1990. Nikolai Volkov and Haku replaced Marty Jannetty and Brian Knobs of the Nasty Boys in the Rumble match itself. Before the show aired, Chris Walker defeated the Brooklyn Brawler, good old jobber, by DQ. Now let's go to the pay-per-view, and it's once again the Orient Express opening the second straight Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Why not? The first time in 1991 it was a banger. This time he faced the New Foundation in Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart, so that you know that's going to be good. So the New Foundation had a lot of chemistry, and their brother-in-laws, Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart, rest their souls, taking on the Orient Express here, and The amount of flips and aerial maneuvers in this match is off the charts. The pacing is great, as you might expect. It went back and forth, seesaw match. There's hot tags, there's hot spots, everything you could think of. Just great wrestling here. Such an awesome opener. There was a lot of spots where it didn't drag, but the intensity built up with the crowd when there was a rest hold. The intensity, the crowd would clap, and everybody got, and the baby face would get back to his feet and try and make the hot tag, but he was prevented sometimes and then not prevented sometimes. Y'all, if you don't know this about wrestling, I'll say this: whenever a wrestler, this is sort of a cheat code. Whenever a wrestler is going to get tagged in, they have their palm facing this way when they were over the ropes. But if the wrestler is not getting tagged in, he'll put the palm on the outside like this. So next time you're watching a tag match, you'll know if a wrestler is going to get tagged in if they have their palm facing them on the ropes. But they always go like this if they're not. Just something I learned recently, so I thought maybe I'd tell the viewer. I had no idea about that. Anyways, back to the opener. It's 3.5 stars. I rated it, and I'm going to keep that rating. That 10 years ago, I'm reading the review I did for it, and I'm going to keep that rating. 3.5 stars. So 2 years in a row, another great rating by the Orient Express. Well, Piper cut a hilarious promo before the match about the Mountie wanting to seduce him. Piper was quite the guy. He was a substitute for Bret Hart in this match versus the Mountie for the Intercontinental title. He was originally scheduled to face the Mountie 2 days prior to the pay-per-view was Bret, but the Mountie pinned Bret at a house show to win the title. This was explained by claiming Bret competed with a 104 fever at the house show he lost the belt at. So good little protecting kayfabe there. The only reason the Mountie beat Bret Hart at a house show, they're saying, is because Bret Hart had a fever of 104. So that was good. The Mountie being champion, not so much, but I'm glad it changed hands here as Roddy Piper and the Mountie go at it. The matchup, not quite the greatest, but good fun. About 1.75 stars is what it gets. Piper beat the Mountie with a sleeper hold at 5:22 to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Up next, we got the Beverly Brothers, Blake and Bo, with the late Genius, in their corner, versus the Bushwhackers, Luke Williams and Butch Miller, with Jameson. Couldn't stand that manager Jameson, and rest in peace also to Butch Miller of the Bushwhackers. This was an interesting tag match. It went about 15 minutes, and when I say interesting, I mean in all the wrong ways. The outside mannerisms by Genius and Jameson, how long it went, the broke, all the holds, it all was paced wrong. The first 5 minutes consisted basically of the Heavenly Body stomping on Butch, and then when the ref broke it up, Butch went out to the crowd, tried to get the crowd going, and the Heavenly Bodies just stood there doing nothing. I wrote, boring as all hell. So I this match on repeat when I came back to do this review, but I wrote this was a dud. And for me to write a dud, it must have been really bad. I guess I looked at the quality of the whole thing at a 15-minute match. 15 minutes is a long time in an undercard Royal Rumble match, especially between two tag teams like this, like the Beverly Brothers and the Bushwhackers. Now, I'm all for the Bushwhackers in the 80s as the Sheep Herders, and I'm all for the Beverly Brothers at times, but they're together, not good. Not here. The next match was another tag team match, so that's the third out of 4 matches on the night being a tag team match. This was for the titles. The Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, with Jimmy Hart versus the Legion of Doom, who were the champions. And LOD got a great pop. Earthquake and Typhoon getting good heel heat. I gave this match a star. And again, I didn't rewatch this one, so I'm going to stick with it. The result was the LOD were counted out. For the Disasters won the title. Disasters won the match, but not the titles. Sorry, I'm taking a bit to read and then say it. I'll get better as I go. I'll get better as I go. I'm just starting out doing these reviews. And of course, we have our main event now, the 1992 Royal Rumble match. This is a match that a lot of people have actually rated 5 stars, and I have nothing against that. Nothing at all. Like, the booking is top notch. We got Ric Flair's first Royal Rumble and him entering at number 3, going all the way, making a new record. The WWF title on the line, his first ever WWF title win. Uh, we had promo after promo. I'm just sorry for the pause. We just had promo after promo before the match yet. I'm not going to read out everybody's promo, but I will say that the $1 Million Man started the match out with the British Bulldog. So this is the second time the DiBiase has come out to start start a Rumble. The British Bulldog ended up going at it with DiBiase and then clotheslined DiBiase over to the floor before Flair came out at number 3, and you can hear Heenan on commentary going, "Oh God, no! This isn't fair to Flair. This isn't fair to Flair." And he's hysterical during the whole Rumble match. Every single thing that happened, that's not fair to Flair. You guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. Out at number 3 this time was Ric Flair, and he ended up getting cornered by the Bulldog and kicked him away. And Bulldog hit a bunch of power moves. Sags of the Nasty Boys is number 4, and he runs out to the ring and attacks Davey Boy Smith from behind while Bulldog was working on Flair in the corner. Flair chops the Bulldog down, and now it's a double team with Flair with Sags. And the fans popped as Davey Boy Smith had eliminated 2 men now as Sags went out. And Heenan kept saying, "This isn't fair to Flair," and he would do that over and over, as I just repeated. Flair begged for more mercy every single time a new babyface entered the ring and did it. I'm just laughing. Haku came out as the 5th entrant and immediately attacked Bulldog out, so Flair got some help. Haku stared at Flair and Rick backed off, saying the words, "Come on now, come on," and backed off hilariously. I can just picture his face. Shawn Michaels jogged out in cocky fashion at number 6. Shawn and Flair went at it a bit, and they kind of previewed their later retirement match that they would have 16 years later in 2008. And it looked a little bit different this time around, as Flair was in decent shape and Shawn was just a youngster. At number 7 was Chico Santana. Chico, as Jesse would call him, but Jesse's not on commentary, so it's Tito Santana. Flair and Santana went at it for a bit. Again, this is Flair in the first 10 workers that came to the ring. Flair the best of them, and Flair got the worst of them. Flair was just a tank by the time number 30 came out. Kerry Von Erich came out, and him and Flair for their history, the Von Erichs versus Ric Flair. There's just so much history with Ric Flair. Like that, they booked this Rumble around him, and it worked wonderfully. The Repo Man came out at number 10. Greg the Valentine came out at number 11. He lasted 44 minutes back in 1991, did Greg Valentine. The Boss Man came out at Ovation. Ric Flair and Davey Boy Smith were still both in the ring at this point, and the ring was filling up. Kerry Von Erich ended up getting eliminated as the fans booed. Santana and Michaels eliminated each other, and Hercules came out at number 13. And like I said, the booking of this match is really good. We've had some undercard guys come, and you typically see that when you get to the second 10 mark. There's a first 10, a second 10, and a third 10. Right when you get to the second 10 mark, you get those few undercard guys like we saw here with Santana, who at the time was undercard, Volkov, who was undercard, and even Shawn Michaels, a few entrants before that, who was undercard at the time. So at the halfway point, and Flair was exhausted and outran the new Intercontinental Champion Roddy Piper. Flair looked like he was going to cry when Piper got to the ring. You just picture Flair going, "No, oh God, no," every time. And the babyface was just loving it. And, and Piper hit an atomic drop to Flair, and then Flair hit the dirtiest player of the game, hit a thumb to the eye, Piper, and then Flair got on him, and out in the middle was Jake the Snake. He broke up Piper and Flair, and then Hacksaw came in after him. IRS, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, and all of a sudden Roberts got paranoid each time the buzzer rang because of the Macho Man could come out at any moment. That's what the commentary was saying. The Undertaker came out at 20. Undertaker being a new WWF wrestler at the time, but also a wrestler that beat Hulk Hogan for the title 2 months before this. So he was a major and a gimmick. Taker hit Snuka, who was his WrestleMania opponent the year before this, with a big shot. Taker hit Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the right hand as well, and then grabbed Flair by the throat. And then here's Savage at 21. The Macho Man Randy Savage comes running in, and all of a sudden Savage found Jake the Snake, who was a little bit upset, a little bit insane, and Savage clotheslined Roberts out of the ring, and then Savage eliminated himself by jumping over the top rope and to the floor. Savage and Roberts just went crazy because they did not meet at WrestleMania 8, but they had their rivalry through Tuesday in Texas, through the Cobra biting Savage on the arm. That was one of the strangest booking decisions, to see Savage not face Roberts. That was the plan for Mania that year, Savage to face Roberts, but he ended up facing because Hogan ended up to face Sid. A lot of politics probably threw the booking off, but either way, we got a good Savage Roberts feud, and we didn't need a WrestleMania match really. IRS, Piper, Flair, Savage, Taker, and Duggan are the 6 men in the Rumble at this point. By the time the Berserker comes in, and Macho Man actually returns to the match. Flair worked on Savage in the corner, and Heenan questioned if he was nuts because he needed to take it easy. And Flair was approaching 45 minutes at the time. Virgil came out next to a huge pop, and he went to work on IRS. Out came Mustafa at entrant 24. Then the current record holder for time at this moment before Ric Flair broke it is Rick Martel, who lasted 52 minutes and 34 seconds last year. He came out. Hogan and Sid, as well as Sergeant Slaughter, have still yet to arrive. So there's already these big names in the ring, and all those names have yet to arrive. 9 people in the ring at this time, and the 10th man, the 26th entrant, is the Hulkster himself. Another huge pop. A few boos in the audience, too, but a pop nonetheless. Hogan, at this point, had been just drawn out. I can see why there was boos, but he'd just been drawn out at this point. Outruns then Hogan with the hits Flair to the knee. Sergeant Slaughter comes out. Skinner was thrown out by the Macho Man. Hogan and Piper then are squaring it off like it's war to settle the score, only 7 years later. If you get that reference, you'll know what I'm saying. Savage, IRS, Hogan, Slaughter, Piper, Flair, and Martel are all the men in the ring when Sid joins it. Then the Warlord joins. All of a sudden, we've got tons of people everywhere. Flair bumped into Sid, and Savage was eliminated. And Heenan goes, "Oh my God!" Right as Sid eliminated Savage, because Sid stared right at Flair, and Heenan went, "Oh God, I know it." Just funny shit. Hogan sent Flair into the corner upside down. Sid then eliminated Hogan, and the place popped. Well, not pop, but a sort of yeah, we're going to get a new winner. I love Steve Austin. I think he's the greatest of all time. But in 2002, when Kurt Angle eliminates him, you hear a bit of a pop because you got to remember Stone Cold pretty much won all the Royal Rumbles back then. So Hogan, it was the same thing. People didn't want to see Hogan win a third Rumble in a row. And so when Hogan got eliminated by Sid, you got a bit of a pop there, that kind of pop. And then Flair eliminates Sid after that. I think this could be the best Rumble match of all time. I don't think I did this in my review because there's a lot of integral points I didn't get into, but I just tried to keep it short as I could, under 20 minutes. But I rated it 4.5 stars, and I gave the Rumble pay-per-views itself 7.5, since the Rumble match is largely a part of what makes the Rumble so great. Stick with these reviews. If you want to see more, just hit the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm going to get better as I go. And I have tons of wrestling information just waiting to come out. So hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Brett Mix with Rumble 92.